Okay, I am really excited for this episode for so many different reasons. First of all, we're recording this on video as well as a podcast, which it's my first time doing that. I'm really excited. So check this out on YouTube this will be my first YouTube channel video. But also I have my friend Megan here. She has been on the podcast before talking about how to design your course. That's her specialty. But today she's back for a very special announcement that I've been sort of teasing on the podcast and on my social media. And so, but before we make that announcement, Megan, can you just kind of reintroduce yourself for the people who have not met you, maybe didn't catch that last episode? Let us know who you are and what is your business all about?
Yes. So, hello. Thank you for having me again today. For those of you who don't know me, I currently work as the course designer. I help small business owners with their instructional design and all things kind of turning their ideas into online learning experiences. But at my core, I am a teacher. Basically for my entire life, I was a high school English teacher right out the gate from college, and spent time working in high school, and then also taught at the college level for a while as well. Really through starting my business. So teaching has always been such a big part of my life, and so I am always and forever a teacher.
Awesome. And we found out too that our moms are both or were both high school English teachers, which is such a strange fact,
Yes.
but that's probably why we
Yes.
obsess over words when we get together. Word choice.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk first before we get into the announcement. I know I'm really like teasing this announcement, but I think it's important to talk about how we met because I think that plays into how important it is to connect with other people online. And our story is funny. And if you don't mind, I'll kind of like start off of what happened. But
Please do.
basically, so for Teacher Hustle University, which is my online membership, I had gotten a version of my training out to the world when I first started my business in 2019. And that version was very hurried because there was this urgency to just like get my knowledge out to my people, like the people that were in there. And I really wanted them to learn about marketing and learn quickly. And so I was recording videos for the course that lives inside Teacher Hustle University, like at night when my kids were sleeping with like a black background. I was filming them, after school, just in these little pockets wherever I could, and just pulling together all my marketing knowledge however I could, really, just to get it out. And then fast forward to, I think, was it 2020 that I did the project where I redid the course?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
fast forward to 2020, and I was like, okay, I need to overhaul this thing. It's been a year. Everybody's loving the material inside, but it's like not my best work. And I didn't really take a whole lot of time to think about how the ideas connected and the best way to teach those ideas. So I decided to try to redo my course, redo the lesson outlines, redo the frameworks, and re record. But I decided that I was going to re record live. I don't actually know where I came up with that idea, but I think it was just more for accountability than anything. It was like, if I do these live, then I have to do them because there are people that are showing up. But I did them during the day, and I think that there weren't many people. There were just maybe like a handful of people there, but there was
Mhm.
Megan, and I didn't know Megan very well. She was in Teacher House University, was kind of a newer member, but she was coming to my live trainings, and it was at my maybe like third training, and it was 45 minutes long, and I literally said out loud in the live training, "Forget it. This is bad. Like I can't. This is too long. I'm not getting my ideas out correctly. Like, I can't get the vision from my head out to you. I need to do this lesson again." And then I got a DM from Megan right after. And what was that?
You
What
did.
was the DM all about?
You did. So I'll jump in this one. I will say it was the first day,
Oh, it was the
actually. It
first
was the
day. Okay,
first
okay.
day that you offered the live trainings, but you were doing a number of them. You were really working on through the first
Okay, yeah.
module. And I decided to join live. I had never seen anybody do that before, actually, which is really cool. It's cool that you opened people up to that, almost behind the scenes, but also letting people in who wanted to learn
Yeah.
from you. So I thought that was really neat, right? And so I did it kind of similarly as an accountability, also to experience it, to connect, and I was just excited. I was still teaching at the time. I was teaching online through a couple different universities at the time, and but I, was home and was able to attend. And I thought, well, that'll be really fun to go live and experience it. And because I was so excited about the ideas Alissa was sharing, I was jotting notes, as a lot of us do. But I'm a little crazier than most people. So I'm also jotting notes of the content, the curriculum she's teaching, but then also of ideas of how it could be improved as she's doing it as well. Because I just can't help myself, guys. I just can't help myself. And so when Alissa started kind of having those moments where she paused, and there were some moments where you were kind of questioning what you were doing, you knew that one piece was a little too long, or at one point you kind of started talking about, I might move this up. That's when I started chiming in
Yep.
and kind of saying like, oh, this would really be great in this part, or have you considered cutting it off here? And I basically just started giving you unsolicited feedback
You gave
on what you
me
had been
a
doing.
picture, like a hand-drawn sketch of a tree. And the tree was exactly the representation I needed for my idea that had been living in my head that I couldn't really communicate. But the tree was that visual representation. And I remember thinking, oh, wow, she really knows her stuff. And that's exactly what was in my head. And then we scheduled a session. We redid my whole framework together. And it came out just so good, so strong, so organized, very well thought through, and something I was really proud to share with my members when it was finished. It was a big project, but when it was finished, it was worth sharing. And that's when I really realized that not only did I love working with Megan, I thought since I'm a teacher, I was an expert in instructional design. But when you get really close to what you're creating for your course or your membership, it's tough to sort of separate yourself. So I knew I loved working with Megan, and I knew I wanted to work on my course together. And then when we were done working on my course, I mean, we stayed in contact, right? We caught up every once in a while. We would send messages on Voxer. We became closely connected, and we did some collabs. You were on the podcast. And then I randomly sent you a Vox and was like, can we meet? I have an idea.
Yes, you did. Very cryptic. I actually thought it was just going to be kind of talking about another one of your programs to talk through, because
Yes.
we had kind of worked on a bunch of stuff. But there was definitely that instant connection when we started working together. And I think for me, it came because I felt like a little bit of a crazy person sending you pictures of my really, when we say I'm sending her pictures of trees, they're not nicely drawn trees. I'm not an artist, but it's trying to bring ideas to life,
Yeah.
trying to translate the ideas in your head and make them something that you can kind of teach and share. That's what I get really excited about. And so I think that just we had this moment of connection, right? That spark, right? When you click with someone, and it was really born from this like shared excitement about the topic. And I was so excited to share with her my insight and what I thought about it. And she was so excited because it was her curriculum and we were really collaborating on it. So I really think that that is kind of the foundation of what set up this relationship, as it hasn't become closer until recently when we're really working on this project that I promise we're going to mention in a minute
Yes.
what it actually is. But that it really was founded on this idea of excitement, inspiration, and being connected over exciting ideas
Yeah.
is really kind of where it all started for us.
Yes.
So then you had your own crazy idea
Yeah.
that you wanted to share with me, which is
Okay. So I know I'm leading into it even more, but I had this idea years ago. In fact, I said it out loud to at least a couple of people, like, this should exist. But I didn't think I would be the person to bring it to life. Like, it was one of those crazy ideas that you're like, if I ever went on Shark Tank, like, this is the idea I would present, but I'm never going to go on Shark Tank. So somebody else will do that. And I had kind of been thinking that about this idea for years now, thinking somebody should do this. And then I was working with another coach, Megan Hale, who I've also had on the podcast. And it was the end of our coaching call. And I was like, Megan, I've had this idea for a couple of years. I think I'm at a place in my business where I might actually, maybe I could at least try to make it happen or facilitate it somehow. But I'm just going to say it out loud to you right now, because I think if I say it out loud, it'll make it more real. And I said the idea, which I thought was way too big for me to ever do. And she didn't even flinch. She was like, okay, you would need this, this, and this. And I was like, okay, it's not too big of an idea. She didn't even flinch. She thought that I could do it. That was the moment where I thought, I can do it. Do I know everything about how to do it? No. Am I going to be able to do it alone? Definitely not. And so that's when I started thinking back over kind of like the connections that I had made, and Megan came to mind. And so I guess now is where I should introduce the idea, because you'll understand why it was so clear to me that I needed Megan's help with this. So my idea that I've had for a couple of years now comes from a combination of experiences, my own experiences in the classroom, and also my experiences working with teachers who are creating a course. So I noticed this giant problem back when I was just teaching and not doing business, which is that we don't, as teachers, have access to quality professional development. We don't have a lot of choice in the professional development that we're taking. We oftentimes go to professional developments because we were told we had to, and then we leave without anything to implement in our own classrooms, and we feel like it was kind of a waste. We could talk more about these experiences. I noticed that problem as a teacher, and then as I started working with teachers on the other side of things who were creating courses out of their amazing teacher genius and their incredible ideas, they were also coming up against a block where they couldn't really find a way to connect with schools, or they couldn't find a way to connect with teachers who needed what they had to offer, but they have this brilliant idea. And so my idea is, how can I facilitate that meeting? How can I help teachers who have amazing ideas to share to connect with teachers who want to hear them and learn from them? And so my idea was to come up with some kind of a platform where the two could meet. And that's where I called you and said, can we meet? I want to talk about this idea. At this point, I had an idea and a name. The name came from a session of just like chatting. My husband and I were sitting in the living room, and I was like, look, what I'm envisioning is Legally Blonde, Elle Woods, Elle Woods walking into the field of lawyership and saying, like, I'm tearing this old, boring lawyer stuff down. I'm coming in my pink suit with my little dog, and I'm going to do this my way. And that's how I envision this professional development. Professional development is currently outdated, in my opinion, outdated, and needs this modernization. It needs an Elle Woods to come in and say, like, nope, move over. We're going to do this now the way that, teachers the way the teachers need it done now. So anyway, the name is Pop PD, which comes from really a lot of the pop. Somebody said, does that stand for something? Does it represent something? In my mind, it's popular. What's popular? What's kind of what are teachers interested in? But also I just love pop because it also is like, there's so many things we can use that on, like pop the balloon, pop the champagne, pop the bubbly water. It just has this feel of vibrance. And that's kind of what I was going for. So I came to Megan and said, I have an idea. It's this thing called Pop PD, where we're going to help professional development kind of come to life. And I need you to help me make sure that this idea comes to life, and that the professional development inside, that our coaches that are doing the professional development are supported with great ideas for organizing their ideas and bringing their ideas to life. And that's where I kind of strung Megan right along into this journey. And it's been a whirlwind ever since.
It has. And I think that, again, going back to how Alissa and you and I connected to start with, and thinking about the mission here, is that it, for both of us, it comes back to the very feelings of being excited and passionate about what it is that you're teaching and learning.
Yeah.
I talk about this a lot in my own business, but it's like, a lot of times we talk about one or the other. We talk about just the teaching, and we talk about just the learning, but it's both sides of it. And so I feel like when we started talking about this idea, having both been classroom teachers with, who had excitement and aspirations to become true professionals in our fields, but feeling like we experienced, a wide variety of professional development opportunities that oftentimes left us kind of dissatisfied, or wanting more, or just feeling like we had this energy to give, or wanted to explore things and didn't have that opportunity. That this idea of pop, of a spark, of something exciting, is just really something that grabs us as individuals, and is something that we felt like there are others out there, in working with them in your business, me working with similar individuals, is like, we have ideas to share. And especially as teachers, there's such a it's such a craft, and it's such a practice that develops over time. And there's so much expertise that every individual teacher in their classroom is gaining and has the opportunity to share. if only they had the right platform to do it. So I think when I started to hear about this idea, I had the same reaction of, how doesn't this exist? How
Right.
isn't there a better way to connect teachers who have similar interests, or maybe have similar interests they don't even know exist yet, but that they
Mhm.
can kind of find and learn from each other in such a way. And so I think that to me, just immediately there was a pop in my own head when I heard this idea of, wow, like what could really be possible here.
Mhm. So then we decided to meet up in real life because we don't live far from each other. So we did the official meeting. We got an Airbnb and we basically put our pajamas on and had like a giant sleepover and talked, I don't even know, like maybe till 1 a.m. and then got back up in the morning and talked some more and really just fleshed out our vision for the company. And it is just a vision that was really born out of our own experiences, which we found out when we got together
Mhm.
it was really shared. Like we had,
Yeah.
even though you're from the high school, college world, and I'm from the elementary world, we had very similar experiences in our feelings as new teachers, as in our feelings as ambitious and innovative educators. And similar experiences in our careers where we kind of hit a point where we knew there was something more that we wanted to do or some growth that we needed, but we couldn't quite put our finger on that path. And that's what kind of left us with that dissatisfied feeling. And we found that we had a lot in common. So I want to kind of shift the conversation to kind of what we talked about at our pajama party and kind of let people in on some of that. And one of the
Yeah.
things we discussed was like, what were some of our experiences with professional development? So, can you tell us about maybe a professional development experience you had where you either had like a really wonderful experience that moved you to action, or maybe there was one experience that was leaving you feeling like you were wanting more?
So I can speak to. So I had plenty of both, and I think that I'll maybe speak to at least just the more um, positive experience in that I was introduced to the kind of the concept and the principles around interdisciplinary teaching and learning. There was a small but really cool and strong movement at my school to start introducing more interdisciplinary teaching. So I actually got pulled in mostly because somebody left, and there was a spot on the team to work with. I was an English teacher, and to work with a math teacher and a history teacher, teaching a course together with a bunch of students, and really looking at how we could kind of intersect the different subjects we were teaching and make the instruction that much stronger and the experience that much richer for students.
So cool.
And so it wasn't even a really, definitely wasn't a traditional professional development experience, in that I was really just kind of pulled in to teach this class. But it ended up being professional development for me because I kind of, again, gained access to this new approach, this new style. The two teachers that I worked with were incredibly knowledgeable, and they had some experience in starting it, but we were really kind of building this together and exploring it. And the invigoration and the excitement that I felt, and not only did it change how I saw teaching in general and my role as a teacher, my approach, but just the feeling that I had coming into the building each day doing it, it was like I couldn't get enough of it. And I was so
Mhm.
interested in sharing it, in trying things out, and it really just changed things for me. Where the first couple years I was a new teacher, which has its own host of problems, right? As
Yeah.
you're so trying to figure out what the heck it is that you're trying to do, and trying to feel competent and confident.
But you're
The
also excited and like
Yes,
you've
exactly,
got
but
this
I will
energy.
say, yeah, but after those first few years, I also was overwhelmed,
Yeah.
and it can be really lonely teaching. And so this, unique experience for me felt like professional development. I was connected with other teachers. I was learning something new, and it really kind of like reignited and got me excited about what I was doing. And, it got me to the point where I was interested in doing even that much more with interdisciplinary learning, and trying to promote that in my school. And ultimately, it kind of it felt like again, as you said, there was a calling for me to kind of explore and do more. And that's where it both invigorated me, but also I felt a little restricted because I wanted to do more and push more, but there weren't as many outlets as I really felt like I needed to try and explore that and put it out there. So it it was a really positive experience that I felt like I was so lucky to have. But then I also felt like, well, but what if more teachers could experience this?
Yeah.
What if more people could kind of see what I see, or if there are other people out there who, again, don't even know about this yet, but who could benefit from this kind of approach, or linking up and connecting with another teacher down the hall in a totally different discipline they
Right.
might not be used to connecting with. Like, what would that mean if more people did stuff like this? So it really, like, that possibility, I think, is what was so exciting to me, and really kind of shifted how I saw and experienced my day-to-day teaching life.
Yeah, it's that shared experience. It's the same kind of experience that we met over. It's that shared excitement, the shared passion for a topic. And you kind of mentioned even like a topic maybe you didn't even know existed until it was
Yeah.
brought up, and then you're kind of put in the shared experience and you make your way through. And I think that's what keeps that excitement alive. And it's also what leads to huge growth in your professional life and your personal life, because you've got these connections. I think all of this is so, so important. And it's something I wish I would have had earlier on in my teaching career. We both sort of talked about that feeling of isolation and feeling that we wish that we wish we would have had access to something like this where we could connect with teachers that we share values and passions with, but we're not limited to who is in our hall. Because they say, the best PD is just by going into the teacher down the hall, going into that room and getting the tips and tricks and seeing what they're up to and getting in conversation. But you're kind of limited to who's in your hall. But with
Absolutely.
Pop PD, it is unlimited access to teachers around the world that you can connect with over topics that you share and passions that you share.
Absolutely. And for as much as that experience was so great and cool, again, it wasn't even traditional PD. It was something that was kind of different and outside, that I felt kind of lucky and fortunate to kind of access
Yeah.
into, and then was trying to promote and do more with, but didn't really have the opportunity to do so. I was limited in
Yeah.
that way. And I was, again, I was also experiencing this really cool teaching experience, and trying to promote and explore this path. And then at the same time, I was also still involved in the more traditional PD stuff, which sometimes
Yeah.
involved, going to my school on a weekend for a 6-hour class that, I was dragging my feet into the building and just had to get those
Mhm.
hours in. So there was also a real
Yeah.
contrast between something that was totally lighting me up and invigorating my practice and making me feel more connected and energized. And then something that was really just checking off the box of, well, I need
Yep.
these hours, I need these credits. This is what's available because a couple of other people have done it. I don't really have a lot of other options. I just have to
Right.
follow along with what's in front of me. And so here I go to sit in this classroom. And sometimes the
Yeah.
cookies are good, which I guess is nice.
I
But
know.
then
That's the
sometimes
only thing I look forward to is either if there's snacks or they give you an hour-long lunch break and you're like, "Oh, what do
yeah.
I do with an hour?
But
I
then
can
you
eat real
also have,
lunch."
exactly. And then you also have so many moments where you're sitting there thinking, again, in a lot of these traditional PD settings of, I either didn't choose to be here, or this isn't really what I see being applicable, or
Yeah.
again, I had something else I would kind of like to explore, but this is what I can do. It's what's available. I didn't even really know a ton of places to search for alternatives.
Right. And with
So there was that
in-person
restriction
PD,
too.
yeah, I mean, with in-person PD, you're certainly restricted by
Mm,
location,
yeah.
and also the thing is that you are stuck sometimes. Is it just me, or do PDs always take place in a room without windows?
Yes, it seems like
Like,
they do. Or
what
it's
do we
either really hot or really cold. Climate
Yes,
control seems like a thing for
yes,
the
yes, but
PD.
you're limited by location, and I'm sure that more rural school districts have an even
Yeah.
tougher challenge too of, like, just having access. And, I know at my school, actually, one of the most meaningful PDs I ever attended was at a district that was in a neighboring town
Mm,
who had enough money to hire somebody to come in-house and train their teachers. My district kind of like snuck me in to that training, and I just got lucky because I found out about it and asked if I could attend. Um, but my district didn't have the funds available to be able to bring this person into our district. So then I was the only one
mhm,
that got the training. So it's just this limited access to these opportunities because of different things like location or
mhm.
availability of funds, and really opening that up and rethinking what professional development could be and how much better it could be if we just look at it in a different lens and we look at it with this open mind of like, what would we ideally want PD to look like? And I don't know about you, but I'd like to be in my pajamas in front of my laptop at,
Always. I
with my
always want
own
to be in
food.
my pajamas. I mean, I put a nice
Yeah.
sweater on for this, but really, folks, there are sweatpants on. We're videoing this for the first time, so if you're in the podcast, you really don't. I got a nice sweater on for anyone who's watching or even listening, you can imagine. But there are sweatpants on underneath this, right? Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can still learn while being comfortable, and I think that there's the joke about that, the comfort, but there's also the very real point of, as you said, the accessibility of
Yeah.
resources and materials, and that really, in summarizing our experiences, a lot of those best experiences we had almost were by accident or were by luck. We never necessarily expected or, thought there was a standard that we would always have great access to PD. And I
Yeah.
think as someone who I was in a very lovely, well-funded school district, that a school, even a school that I loved, I felt like I had support. But I think that it should be a right for every single teacher to feel supported, no matter what kind of resources your district has, no matter what, like PD should be a high standard and something that is available to everyone. Teachers
Mhm.
deserve that, we all deserve that
Totally. And
as
they,
humans, but teachers, I
yeah,
just think that that's such a, to this, again, part of what I find exciting about our venture with Pop PD is really trying to make it something that is something that everyone can find. Um, and not have to be something that just they luck into or they don't.
right. And teachers should have choice. I think
Yeah.
teachers, this is part of what gets lost when there aren't a lot of options is that teachers are not able to choose what they need at that moment, based on the students that are in front of them that year. Maybe they have a particular need to learn some specific thing for based on the students in front of them,
Yeah.
or maybe they have a particular interest, or maybe they are looking to grow in a certain area and they need more choice, but not only in topic but also in instructor.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a PD where you just didn't mesh with the instructor and or maybe they didn't teach in your learning style? I had one. Oh man, I have math anxiety bad. Like I freeze up. If you ask me to do 2 plus 2, but there are, 10 people listening, I'm going to get the answer wrong because there are so many people watching me. And there was this one PD I went to where the guy made us go around the room and do math problems.
Oh,
It was
that sounds like my
it was
nightmare.
my
Yeah.
nightmare. A nightmare. I froze up and I had to ask the guy next to me what the answer was because they were going so fast. Forget it was like a game or something they were demonstrating. They were going so fast and I was like, I froze up and it was awful. And I left just feeling like maybe that would have really worked for somebody else, but for me that was just not the way that I learned. That was not my learning style. And if I ever had to go to one of those PDs again, I was going to, fake sick because no way I was putting myself in that situation again. So I think also like choice in topic, choice in instructor, choice in learning style. This is all so incredibly important in our personal and professional growth journeys that teachers need to have access to that choice as well.
Absolutely. And I think that the overall concept of being dynamic, period, right? Like dynamic
Yeah.
options for when and where you take your PD, dynamic options for what the topic is. And again, even drilling further down into that, dynamic as far as updating when things happen in the world,
Yeah.
when perspectives change, when new innovation in a way of thinking or a technology tool, right? We always talk about it in terms of technology. I think a lot, especially with schools, a lot of it's like innovation and tech. And hey, that's important, right? Like when I went to my college prep program, which wasn't, forever ago, we didn't have anything about integrating technology in the classroom, which is wild. But it's because
Mhm.
traditional education, like universities, can't necessarily keep up with courses that will, show off what's actually going on in the classrooms and will then be helpful for teachers to implement. So when you're a lot of times you're getting
Right.
professional development or education, there isn't always that ability to be dynamic in not only the topic but how you're approaching it, right? But once there are changes
Mhm.
in a field or certain concerns, again, we're having a lot of those in our society right now, globally,
Mhm.
nationally, internationally, whatever it is, being able to respond to what people are talking about, and what
Mhm.
students need, that is huge. And traditional
Right
education
in
in
the
all
moment. Yep.
forms, yeah, can't always respond in the moment. So
Yeah.
having, other opportunities and platforms, which is why, social media is so becoming so useful for educators to be able to even just explore ideas, but, really trying to look at how you can kind of combine, learning and high quality opportunities with something that's a little more agile that people can kind of respond to and learn from, stuff that's really going on today.
Exactly. And it just, I think I love what you said about, I love that you used the word pop, kind of like a spark, but it's like this also helps us. First of all, it gives a place for our ideas to go, because how many times as a teacher did you have like an amazing idea that worked really well with your kids, and then you wanted to share it, but it didn't really have anywhere to go, but maybe to your colleague next door. And so this gives a place for all of this spark and all of this pop to happen, right? It's like my ideas have a place to live, and I have a place to share, but I also have a place to take in other ideas and other genius from teachers around the world. I think this is such a cool way for teachers to connect and feel that spark again, feel that pop for their and that passion for what they do.
Yeah, and again, it's to me, it's really that balance between showcasing the genius you do have and then also embracing the genius you don't and that other people have
Yeah.
out there, right? And trying
Yeah.
to, because as teachers, there's so many demands on you. There's so many demands on your time, your skill set, all of the things that you're looking to tackle. And I think it's there are teachers out there with really cool specialized skills and things that they love doing that we hope to highlight in Pop PD. And then there's also for those same teachers places that they still want to improve and learn more about. And so this idea that you can be an expert in something, but then also have room to grow and learn more and explore. That is what I find really exciting too. I feel the same way as we look to start this venture together. Of we have our own experience and expertise in what we do, but we also have so much to learn both in starting
Yeah.
this business and absolutely from the teachers and coaches we hope to work with, that we are just really trying to harness that again, that balance between teaching and learning, and have that be something we embrace and make the foundation of how we put this together.
I am just so excited. And I think one of the things that we're noticing within working with our current cohort of coaches is that there are ideas for professional development that we wouldn't have even thought
Yeah,
existed. And then we see the idea and we're like, oh yeah, I want to learn about that. So there's also this discovery
yeah,
piece. Like you may go in searching for a PD on Reader's Workshop because that's an area you want to work on. But then you may stumble on something like one of our course creators is creating something on bookmaking and the different ways to create books with your students. And it's like, oh, I didn't even think about that, but what a cool professional development. And it'll be a bite-sized PD that I can take, in an hour and then go turn around and use this with my students. So some of these ideas, I think it is so neat to see what these little tiny niches of teacher genius are that are out there and that are going to be on Pop PD. So just to give people a little kind of behind the scenes of how we've been putting this together, we have an initial round of coaches. We're calling them coaches. These are the teachers who are putting their professional development trainings on the platform. And so our coaches, we're really working with them and nurturing them and helping them create professional development that is going to be an experience. We want it to be interactive. We want them to be fun. We want them to be exciting. At first, we want them to be bite sized, right? We're starting out with some bite sized trainings, and we have all different ideas. We've got bookmaking, we've got culturally responsive teaching, we've got SEL, trauma informed, all different subject areas, all different age groups. And this is just our first initial round of coaches. We are going to be continuing to accept cohorts of coaches as we go on, but just for our initial launch, we've got these initial coaches, and I am so excited. Every time I read an application, I just get more and more excited about these ideas and helping these coaches amplify these ideas.
yeah. It's just to see the videos again, with just these short application videos that we have people do and see their excitement for their topics and what they want to share with the world. Alyssa and I, right? We just That's what gets us excited. Like we're just excited to be able to showcase and amplify those voices and those cool ideas, just really cool ideas and
Yeah.
important ideas.
So cool. Yep. And so, kind of where we are with the process of Pop PD and getting it out to the world, Megan and I have had we've got our big vision. We've had a lot of, just to give you like a behind the scenes look, we've had a lot of, would you call them mountains, hills to
Yeah.
climb as we're going on this journey? Yeah, more like
Yep.
mountains. There are some big, scary topics that we've had to tackle in starting this company, but thank goodness we're in it together because it is a lot, but it is going to be so stinking awesome. We are so excited to share it. We have not officially launched the site. So if you go to the site now, you go to www.joinpoppd.co, and there you can put your name in if you are interested in taking a professional development course. You can also put your name in if you are interested in becoming a coach, or both if you want. That's fine too. And that's basically a holding page while we're kind of getting everything together behind the scenes. We are getting this platform designed, developed.
By
We
real
are figuring
official
out all.
engineers.
Yeah. Yeah, real official developers. It's a big, big tech undertaking. We're also coordinating with our coaches, training them, supporting them to make sure that they have everything they need to get some really quality professional development experiences out there. And just working on our own internal processes and things that we need to get going as a company. And we've got some big visions for the values of our company and what we really want to make sure um, that some of these values stay consistent across all the areas of the company, both like behind the scenes, the back end, the team, the coaches, and then the teachers who are taking the PD, because we really see this as changing education. We see this as a massive mission that is something that we are facilitating. We don't see ourselves as the faces of this brand. We see ourselves really just amplifying these voices and facilitating that and helping these teachers get their ideas out to the world. And it feels exciting and huge and wonderful, terrifying,
Yep.
all
All
of
of the
the
above.
above.
Yeah, it's for us, it's a lot of work, but it's been worth it every time we come back to the teachers, the coaches, the people who are
Yeah.
really the foundation and the core of all of this, right? The inspiration for all of it. So
Yep.
we're really excited to move things along. Alyssa moves fast, so I'm just trying to keep up, but
Look
we're
out.
the excitement and the the drive, the vision that she had for this way back when she first thought of it all by herself, and bringing trying to bring it to life now together. I think that we're looking to do this, in the next couple months. We're really looking to start opening this up,
Yeah.
and we hope this is going to be huge. But we're really excited to invite people in to come and work with us on it. And we're our first cohort. Say that 10 times fast. Geez, that is closed. So if you sign up on the website now, interest list, because we will have more coaches. We're really looking to have a ton of coaches. So we're working with our initial group of coaches now, but we absolutely want you along for the ride. So if you are interested, getting yourself signed up, following us on Instagram at poppd.co. We hope to keep you not only in the loop, but the entire loop is you. So join us.
Yes. You are the
You are the loop.
loop. We're really looking forward to sharing this, and we're hopeful, fingers crossed. We're looking around early April. That might be a
Yeah.
little ambitious, but that's what we're looking for a launch. So we hope to get you some training just in time for spring, summer. You can be really flexible in where and when you learn, what the topics are, who you like to learn from. And there will be a lot of opportunities to share these trainings with your colleagues, your teacher bestie. There will be a lot of opportunities within the platform to share, to follow. And then we hope that you'll share outside of the platform too. We're just really looking forward to being on this journey with all of you and helping you all to connect. So thank you for listening to this episode where we are kind of going behind the scenes. I know this is a little different than my kind of traditional podcast episode, but I think this was a really good story of how this business came about, how we kind of leaned on a connection that we felt over teaching and learning, and where we're kind of going with this business. So thank you, Megan, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I'll make sure to include all the links in the show notes so that you can get over and sign up. And I'm sure you'll be hearing more
Yes.
about this
Can't wait to
soon.
see you guys all there.